States of America.
I want to bring up a special guest, and we're trying to talk this guy into doing a regular segment on our show. But I think you'll like this guy. I'd like to introduce you to Paul LaRue. Paul, come on.
I never rehearse anything. I never know exactly what I'm going to say until I get up here and say it. I'd like to tell you about my son Daniel. My son Daniel is one of my favorite people in all this world. There's only 4 people I'd take a bullet for, and he's one of them. And then there's his sisters, and there's my fiance. I love you all, but the rest of you will be on your own. I'll try to help as much as possible. Years ago, my son is a smart boy, and years ago, when he was still just in grade school, he wanted to read one of the books that I had. It was by this old guy, Tolkien, and he wrote a thing called The Lord of the Rings, and he loved it. It's dragons and wizards and knights in shining armor and battles and good against evil, all that sort of thing. And then we found out that the movie was coming out, and we were like all a tremble. This was like the greatest thing ever. We couldn't wait. And my brother said he'd go with us, and he's a great guy too, my brother Scott. So we go down to the Warwick Mall Cinema, and we get in the line with all the other geeks from Middle-earth, and it's stretching out to the parking lot. And luck was with us. We got the last 3 tickets, because it was the first day, and everybody and their brother who'd ever read this book wanted to see this. And then we go in the theater, and God was with us, because there were 3 seats together right down in the front. We get there, and 2 things happened that were kind of funny. Well, one of them was funny, the first thing. Me and my son proceeded to take out a bunch of candy from every single pocket that we had on us, and my brother is laughing his butt off. He's like, what are you going to bring out next? A rubber chicken? A bazooka? I mean, you know. But we came prepared. We wanted to have candy, and we weren't about to pay fixed high prices for it either. So then the previews go, the movie starts, and have you ever been to a movie with those little black lines that go through? And there were a few black lines. And then there were some more black lines. And then the screen went completely black. A second goes by, there's some muttering in the audience. 2 seconds goes by, there's more muttering. 5 seconds goes by, 8 seconds goes by. This is the limit of my endurance. And I get up, and I turn around, and I look at the booth where the movie is supposed to be projected from, and I said, there's going to be a mutiny! There wasn't a single hitch after that point. The movie ran flawlessly. Now, if I could, can I get this off here? There's a reason why that movie ran correctly afterwards. Because they knew that if I got mad enough, I was going to take my son and my brother, and we were going to go and demand our money back. And if we were doing it, a lot of other people were going to do it as well. They were going to demand their money back. They didn't want to give their money back. But we had that freedom, and we had that right. Now I hear a lot of talk about how we've got to elect this person versus that person. We've got to support this party versus another party. We've got to support conservative or liberal, centrist or moderate. What I say is that the fundamental change that needs to happen is that we need to be able to, at any time, to demand our money back. Every 2 years, there are elections in this state. And every 2 years, a group of people called politicians like to make promises. They say that if you elect them, your teeth will be whiter, they'll take 6 strokes off your golf game, and the world will be rainbows and Skittles. And everything will be wonderful. Yes! And then they get in, and the same promises they made are the same promises that they break time and again. Which is why, incidentally, people are so apathetic in this state. They don't merely think that their vote doesn't count. Right now, it does not count. What needs to happen here? What needs to happen here is that instead of the same saccharine compassion, instead of the same plastic promises, instead of the same fake caring that they show for us, they need to put their money where their mouth is. I say that we do not vote for anybody who will not put a money-back guarantee on their performance.
Yeah! No re-elections proposed.
I say don't re-elect anybody.
Yeah!
Not one of them deserves their job back. Not one.
That's right. That's right.
I work in a high school. I would rather have the 75 students that I teach run this state than the bozos and criminals we've got up there right now. Now, here is what I suggest that we demand from any candidate who wants our vote. They have to support at least two things: ballot initiatives and referendums, and perhaps a third one called a recall.
That's right.
Because as bad as this state is, if you look at a place like California, the guy who is pretending to be governor there right now replaced another man who got recalled because he had managed to take the land of milk and honey, to take a state as powerful and as rich as that and drive it into the ground. And that is why that man was recalled. That is why a special election was held. And while I'm on the topic here, I'd like to remind everybody that one of the things that was said was there were too many candidates. There were too many opinions being offered. And I say there can never be too many opinions. Every person in this room has an opinion and has a right to that opinion. Because if you think about it, opinions are kind of like rear ends. Everyone's got one. I say that we make it a litmus test for anybody running for office in this state, for any office whatsoever, from town councilor up to governor, up to U.S. senator, every single last one of them. They have got to offer us a real promise, something that's actually written in stone rather than in air.
I work at a granite store.
Hey, we'll be glad to hit them over the head with it too.
Malfeasance.
What, their style of government? That sounds like malfeasance.
Hold them accountable, that's all. We'll hold them accountable.
Absolutely. They need to be held accountable at every step of the way. They need to be looking over their shoulder, wondering if the people are going to notice what they're doing and demand that they be recalled. Or for that matter, demand that they be overridden. We ultimately have to be sovereign in this state and in this country. Because if the people's voice is not going to be heard, then we might as well confess that it's not a democracy, that your vote doesn't count, that we might as well not have elections, and that we might as well let a system of people similar to the one that elected your prom king and queen run your life for the rest of the time you're alive on this planet.
Not anymore, it isn't.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, it isn't. That's right.
One of the things that I did notice at the Tea Party that I went to on April the 15th is that there were a lot of people who aren't anything like me. I'm obviously ready to fight at the drop of a hat. I'm obviously ready to speak up any time that I see that freedom is threatened, which is why I never stop talking. The people I met down there are a lot calmer than me. They're stable, pragmatic, hardworking, feet-on-the-ground people who never thought in a million years that they would find themselves at such an event, but they did, because they had finally had enough. And I say that we all have to say to the people who are supposedly governing us that we have indeed had enough. And that's all she wrote.
Yes, way to go.
This concludes this program broadcast. We the People, a freedom of speech television show. Go to www.wethepeopleofri.org.